Good evening. It's my huge pleasure and honor to introduce to you our dinner speaker, a dear friend of mine, Dan Rose. Let me begin with Dan's business exploits. In some venues, maybe, the organizers wouldn't dream of citing the business exploits of the dinner speaker, but this is the Center on Capitalism and Society, and we have no problem about that whatsoever, Dan. Dan Rose has had an extraordinarily successful business career as a businessman in New York, Boston, and Arlington, or may we say Washington, D.C. He's perhaps best known for his hand in the development of the Pentagon City complex in Virginia, along the blue and yellow lines of the Washington Metro. Completed in 2009, an award-winning urban village of high-rise luxurious apartments and condos, as well as the Fashion Center Mall. Another major project of his is the building of One Financial Center in downtown Boston in 1983, the third tallest building in Boston when measuring by pinnacle height, which helped anchor the redevelopment of that city. I remember having a lunch with Dan not so long ago in which he said that the desirability, the profitability of that project was obvious. I like that. Schumpeter would have been happy. In New York, one can add to his accomplishments, for starters, the creation of the housing for the performing arts, that is Manhattan Plaza, opened with a ribbon-cutting ceremony in 1977. Personally, I must say that when Viviana and I are walking around the city, we can't get more than a few blocks without seeing a rose here or a rose there or a rose there. It's absolutely amazing what he has contributed to the city. As a philanthropist, he has contributed to the flourishing of New York through his co-founding of programs such as the Harlem Educational Activities Fund, helping thousands of inner-city youth to enter college since 1989, and the establishment of initiatives including the Rose Center for Public Leadership, the joint Yale Technion Rose Homeland Security and Counterterrorism Program, the Jacobs Technion Cornell Institute at Cornell Tech, and the Helping Africa Foundation, of which he is president. I could go on and on and on about the innumerable boards on which he serves, but let's just say that he is the most illustrious benefactor that New York City and not just New York City have ever had. So it's an extraordinary pleasure to invite Dan to give this dinner speech, and when you've heard it, you will know how valuable he is. Thank you.
friends, forget all that. That's for your obituary. Forget all that. Friends, we've been party to a thought-provoking, exhilarating, stimulating exercise today, for which I'm sure we're all grateful to the center, which plays such an important part in stimulating thinking, in clarifying issues. This center has always been necessary. In these difficult times, it will be more necessary than ever. And we should be grateful for it. We should encourage it, support it. This center is going to be our salvation. This center and groups like it will be our salvation in the future. Now, I came prepared with a talk that Ned had read and that he liked, but in the course of the day, it seemed clear to me that the talk that I have prepared and written out and will be happy to send to anyone who wishes was the right answer to the wrong question. Because the conference today, our discussion has been on working class and middle class responses. The talk that I prepared, that I am happy to send to you, gave the right answer to the wrong question. The questions the paper deals with: the challenges to our socioeconomic system, the need for long-term solutions, not short-term fixes, the need for continuing significant economic growth on the one hand. We need a bigger pie, but we need a fairer, more rational distribution of the incremental growth components. And then finally, we need more institutions that are healthy and vibrant and serve our needs, and they can come from the support of groups like the Center on Capitalism and Society. So that was a brief summary of this paper, many-page paper that I'll be happy to send you. But as we were listening all day, I am prepared to give you a talk that I will be writing up tomorrow, because I'm all psyched up.
Okay, it's a deal.
All right. The subject that my title is going to be, to a group of economists who think in terms of that which can be quantified and measured. The title for my paper on the class situation we were discussing is Broke versus Poor. Being broke is an economic condition lacking funds. For people who are broke, their tendency is to pull up their socks and become unbroke as quickly as possible. Being poor is a more complex situation, most of whose participants or members were poor, are poor, and will be poor. So the difference in terms of working class, social class, is a significant difference in attitude and mindset, which economists don't tend to focus on. Now, in terms of working and middle class, you've had people like Robert Putnam on the left and Charles Murray on the right discussing the nuances, but they go with attitudes and values. Now, Ned mentioned Manhattan Plaza, which I think is a fascinating case history that economists can focus on in terms of broke versus poor, because that's when I first used the phrase. A group called HRH Construction had developed this program, and they retained my company to be, on a fee basis, to provide the renting and managing services. And in that year, 1977, my people were very anxious to get those fees. Lo and behold, there was a market crash. The housing market evaporated, and the mortgagee wanted to stop construction of this middle-income housing development on 42nd Street and 10th Avenue because it couldn't succeed. The only program that would permit it to go ahead was called Section 8, the lowest possible income level. And people were outraged. They refused to have what in effect was public housing on the heart of the theater district. They thought laundry hanging out over the balconies, thugs and hoodlums coming. That was my problem, because my company were going to be the renting and managing agents, and my people said they needed those fees. So the developer's problem became mine, and I proposed, yes, it can be housing for Section 8 low income levels, but only for members of the Screen Actors Guild, the Musicians Union, Actors Equity. They all had to have professional credentials as well as having low income. And in short, that turned out to be the solution. Broke but not poor. Economic justification, but they were all graduates of the Yale School of Drama or whatever. An interesting situation came, that's at 1977, after the building was occupied that year. There was an electrical shortage, an electrical crisis in New York, a blackout. For a couple of days, there was no electricity in Manhattan. In public housing throughout the city, there were murders, there were robberies, there were rapes. At Manhattan Plaza, the tenants themselves organized a self-help group. The people on the lower floors planted candles on, remember, no elevators, no lights. The people on the lower floors planted candles on all the stairways going up, every step and every stairway. The people on the lower 10 floors volunteered to have people in the upper floors, as much as the 35th floor, to come down and sleep on couches in their living rooms. They moved over, they made accommodation. There were no problems, no cases of theft, rape, difficulty. A middle-class group of people without money demonstrated how they react in a low-income setting. It was a perfect example of what social class, in terms of Robert Putnam and Charles Murray, in terms of what Ed Banfield thought about future mindedness being a sign of social class. Ed Banfield, a friend, used to be at Harvard, felt that social class is a function not of finances, but of your sense of the future. That the dysfunctional poor can't think through the end of the week. The fruit pickers can think through the end of the fruit picking season. Working class think through a few years. Middle class want to educate their children. Upper middle class build family buildings. Patricians said, and we no longer have patricians today, but Banfield said patricians think of what's best for the society. And it's all a sense of time frame. based on Ed Banfield's thinking, when I created the Harlem Educational Activities Fund. This is for black, Central Harlem, poor, public school students. We pounded away on future mindedness. We said every child must have a view. Where do you want to be in 10 years? Where do you want to be in 20 years? And then you have to focus today desperately on your efforts to get there. Whatever we were short of, it wasn't words. We told them life is a marathon run. But in the short term, you have to sprint on Monday, sprint on Tuesday, sprint on Wednesday, and you'll end up winning the marathon. Sharply focused effort now is the answer for a long-term goal. Of our children, black children, public school, Ebony Magazine, this black magazine, this current issue, has an article on my program calling it Without Peer in the United States. It points out, Ebony Magazine, that nationwide 11% of all American high school students go on to graduate school. Of our children, 35% go on 100% graduate high school, 100% go on to four-year colleges, 35% go on to graduate school because they're future-minded. They have the self-confidence, the disciplined effort, and the vision of the future. That's what social class demonstrates. One of the proudest moments of my life came a few years ago when I just spoke with this girl yesterday because we keep in touch. The daughter of a non-English speaking Dominican, which means colored, single mother, daughter of a non-English speaking Dominican single mother, had invited us to her commencement at Yale University, where she graduated magna cum laude. Later in the day, we burst with pride when our little girl received, Yale has a number of residential colleges. Her college was Timothy Dwight College, and this child, this young girl, had her name inscribed on the Timothy Dwight College Master's Cup for her contribution to the life of Yale University. Another girl written up in this Ebony Magazine, this current issue, is a child from a dysfunctional inner city Harlem family who says in the article, in the interview, how she owes everything to Heath. She has just graduated from the Army, U.S. Army's Command and General Staff College, and is going to be, this month she's being promoted to lieutenant colonel. This girl, one of our girls, is going to be a black female general in the U.S. Army. We chatted with her a while back, and she made the comment she wasn't the smartest one in her family. She said her brother really was the smart one. I don't know why. I asked, where is your brother now? And she said, oh, he's in prison. Her two younger sisters are welfare single mothers. The one that we worked with and whose value system we influenced is going to be a black female general. So in terms of mindset, we have to think in terms of the value system, the aspirations, the sense of self-confidence, and the ability to achieve. That's what social class can be, and that has to be taken into consideration on all the programs of dealing with social class. It's not pure economics. Now, the other things I was going to discuss is the question of work. My father used to like the expression that work is what, because we've heard that 70% of the people in America are going to be unemployed in 2045. My father used to say that work is what you do not enjoy, whether you're paid for it or not. That play is what you do enjoy, whether you're paid for it or not. And my father said, the blessed of the earth go through life playing while being handsomely rewarded for it. That means engaging in activities that are meaning and satisfying and fulfilling. And that is the challenge we have. How, if we have a growing economy, and that's one of our problems, how to have the steady increasing growth. How do we divide and distribute the proceeds more fairly and rationally so that we can provide for all young people activities, whether professional or unprofessional, whether vocational or out of their professional activities, that permit them to lead satisfying and fulfilling lives. That's the goal of our society. A society that's fair, that gives upward opportunity and a chance for people to grow to their full height. And that's what we have to do in terms of all of our goals for everybody. Now, in terms of some of the comments made during the day, let me just say quickly about Donald Trump's supporters. And Trump is a traumatic experience, a national humiliation, a national embarrassment, a national trauma. About the Trump supporters, I could only think after this traumatic experience of hearing his election. Lenin commented with contempt about the common people. Lenin said, the people shout, bread, bread, and to accentuate their demands, they burn the bakeries. Burning the bakeries is going to be, I hope and pray, we all have to wish this man well, because he's our leader. I despair that I will not live to see the next time we have a liberal Supreme Court. But thanks to institutions like this Center for Capitalism, we have to be helpful. We have to be constructive. We have to be Her Majesty's loyal opposition when it's called for, and be supportive and cooperative when that is called for. Now, many people are sad today. One of the facts of life, and it is a fact, is Paul Valéry's comment that the future is not what it used to be. We used to think more constructively of the future. Once again, we have to reverse gears. We have to think more constructively so that the future once again can be a constructive one. Now, it can be if groups play an active part, if groups like the Center and their colleagues and all of us play active, constructive roles. Nothing worthwhile just happens. And if we need a theme about our activities, both the Center, comparable groups, each of us in our respective roles. We have to, good things can happen. We have to think of the comment of Oliver Wendell Holmes Jr., who said, and this can be our watchword, the mode by which the inevitable comes to pass is called effort. Our effort can help good things come to pass. Thank you.
I think Dan would be agreeable to a question or two if there are questions or comments. Would any of you like to offer a question or a comment? Yes.
Could Dan tell us what age he starts with the children?
We start at the 6th grade.
Yes, I meant their age, not your age.
No, we start at the 6th grade. All we require is that a child at the 6th grade can read and write. Now, that's a lot, but the child has to read and write. The parents have to be constructive. All we ask is that a parent be supportive, and the child has to be amenable to our pep talks and our high aspirations. But my point is that there can be positive self-fulfilling prophecies as well as negative. That's the challenge of the society. How to give young people positive self-fulfilling prophecies. And that's what we do from the 6th grade on.
Any other questions? Yes, yes. Simon. Mike's coming.
How many children have you been able to help in your program?
Over 1,000 children, and we have them up. Our home is at the old Hotel Teresa on 125th Street in central Harlem. We've just opened a branch at Bedford-Stuyvesant in Brooklyn, where we're dealing with the worst school district in the city. And we believe we can change the mindset. We can change the value system of these children and thereby change their lives.
Yes.
A little bit more detail on your program, because I think it's admirable what you're doing. You get them to live together. How do you spot them? How do you create these values in them? Do you put them in a common educational system, or how does it work?
This is an after-school program. They go to regular public school. This is in addition to, not instead of. We are psyching them up. We pound away on the fact that learning is the key. Teaching is what some teacher does at a blackboard. We pound away to our children that learning is what takes place in their heads. It's their responsibility to read, to write, to count, to speak effectively, to think clearly and rationally and outside the box. Our job is to help them. We give them a sense of personal responsibility. That's what lights. We deal with the concept that education is not something you put into a passive receptacle. Education is stimulating the child's thinking, and these children can go on and achieve great things. So this is the challenge we all have. How to have personally, professionally, organizationally, constructive, self-fulfilling prophecies for the future. A runner who thinks he's going to lose the race will lose the race. A runner who thinks he may win has a vastly better chance. So this is the way we have to do. In terms of our society, not optimistic, but hopeful. Hopeful, and working hard to make those hopes materialize.
Saskia, was your hand up? Saskia Sasson?
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, good.
Dan, you know that Richard and I have long been great admirers of you and Johanna. And how do we get the new generation of real estate developers in New York City to add to their project what you have described to us, which is truly admirable and very significant?
Well, we try to inculcate. We're great believers in praise versus blame, in pride, in giving people the encouragement. Those people, we no longer deal with the question in our society of pride versus shame. We teach our children to be embarrassed, to be ashamed of doing less than well. We teach them pride in achievement. Now, this is considered bad form in our society. I think that's madness. We include high aspirations and we cheer them all, and they are proud of their achievements, and their friends and colleagues are proud of them. So having a clear vision of what the goals should be. High achievement. B, inculcating the self-confidence step by step. We start very young, giving them reasons for self-confidence and realization that hard work pays off. And it gradually comes. And they pass the test. This is not an affirmative action concept. We do not believe in equality of result. We believe in equality of opportunity. And the opportunities should be available, and should the encouragement and the stimulus. Napoleon Bonaparte said that every French soldier should feel that he has the baton of a Marshal of France dans sa giberne, in his knapsack. Dans sa giberne. Every French soldier should feel he could be a Marshal of France. We're just taking a leaf from Napoleon's book.
Now that Dan is getting fully warmed up, how about how about some more questions?
Hello?
Yes, yeah.
Come back to you, I guess.
Go ahead. Or you're going to the bathroom? Or no?
Here you go.
All right, there we go. Thank you. Hi, I'm Ethan Park. I'm a student here at Columbia University.
I have a question for you regarding the values aspect of your speech tonight. I went to a high school that also, prided itself very strongly on values, and every single day we'd hear in some capacity the need for 5 values in particular: honor, integrity, respect, humility, and excellence. Those are the 5. And again, what you're doing with young people starting at grade 6 is very admirable, and it's very inspiring to me. But what can you say with regards to people, let's say, who are maybe in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and have maybe a set of values that are different than the ones you're trying to inculcate? Do you think that for people of that age, there's an opportunity to affect the same change via dialogue or via some sort of open conversation? How do you think, or do you think that is something that can be achieved? And if so, how might one go about doing that?
Well, the discussions today really dealt in this last session of 2 separate questions. One, social class, but also regional problems. Regional problems should be dealt with nationally, and a Hillary Clinton should have said, not that she should not have referred to Donald Trump supporters as deplorables, giving that whole voter group to Donald Trump. She should have said, free trade benefits the entire macro society. However, some parts of the economy pay the price. We must help those areas that are hurt. We must help retrain those people who are displaced. Every other advanced European country has vocational training programs, job training programs, efforts to help people adjust. Every other advanced nation has those, and we must have them too. Giving people an opportunity and understanding not everybody can go to college. We have to give vocational opportunities for people to have careers that are satisfying and productive and fulfilling, so that they feel a sense of accomplishment. They feel they've achieved something, and they feel they're living up to their productive possibilities. One's self-image does not have to depend on a relative status based on economics.
Right.
That's a key factor. Yeah. How to make people feel valued, how to make them feel that they have a place, a mission, a purpose. And another factor that we do encourage is questioning. This is something that isn't frequently discussed. You have 2 forms of educational influence in the world today. You have the Confucian, and you have what of another term I'll call either Jewish or Israeli. Singapore is the poster child for Confucian education. Something like 7 million people in Singapore. Israel has virtually the same number. In Singapore, the children start early, end late, work fiercely hard, memorize everything in sight. Jewish children in Israel are taught constantly to question, question, question. Confucian children revere their professors. They adore them, but they never question. Singapore, Confucian, no questioning. Israel, constant questioning. Since the year 2000, both about 7 or 8 million people or whatever. Since the year 2000, how many Nobel Prizes has Singapore won? 0. How many Nobel Prizes has Israel won? I think it's 7 or 8. 1 inculcates questioning. Rabbi Hillel says this, Rabbi Shammai says that. What do you think? No, there are no black and white, open and shut answers in Israeli education, and they're constantly questioning. That's one of the things that we encourage our Harlem children to do. Constant questioning, open-mindedness, with the self-confidence that they can achieve great things. Thank you.
Without the mic? Why?
How does computer technology factor into your approach?
We do that through the schools. We encourage them, but we are not computer-oriented. We just expose them, and we encourage them to take outside computer courses. We're more interested in the psyche of stimulus than in the mechanics of it. Thank you.
We're going to have to wrap up now. I want to thank Dan Rose for this inspiring talk. I love this man, and I'm very grateful to you, Dan, for joining us all day long and at this dinner. Thanks a lot.